Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I want to talk about the state of weapon balance in Battlefield Hardline. This is something that simply has to be addressed for this game to be successful in the long run. Currently it's a fun game, but we're seeing some trends right now, at least some popular trends in what guns people are using and which guns are incredibly effective versus certain guns that are just not effective in the slightest. One thing you might notice is that there's a lot of people running the operator class. Whether it's team deathmatch or conquest, this class is incredibly popular because it's got some of the best guns in the game aside from the best abilities. The M16A3 and the M416 are simply put two of the best guns in the game. They belong to the operator class, and once you unlock them in the operator class, there really isn't much of a point in using any of the other weapons. These are just hands down the best guns for this class, and there's really no point in exploring any of the other options. And bringing up the Simthic stats here of, say, the M416, it's really not hard to see why these guns are so insanely good. It's the damage model. Not only are these weapons doing 28 damage maximum, offering them a 4-shot guaranteed kill, but the damage drop off doesn't even start until 40 meters, which means that up to around 45 meters, you're still going to be getting that guaranteed 4-shot kill on anybody you're shooting, which is insanely far away, and it makes them outclass all the other weapons available to the operator. So there's no point in really looking at the carbines because these guns are just going to outdamage them in close quarters, they're going to outdamage them at long range. I propose that the developers try and balance it so that the assault rifles are more geared towards long range engagements and the carbines are geared towards medium range engagements. This will actually give you a reason to use carbines over assault rifles. This can be achieved simply by changing the drop-off point for assault rifles. You can make it start dropping off at around 5 meters, and I just made a simple graphic here to show you. This will basically reduce their effectiveness in close quarters, but still give them the advantage over carbines at further range engagements. And it would probably help also to reduce the max damage from 28 to 25 to reduce basically the range at which you can 4-shot kill somebody. Now, if you compare it to the carbine damage model of, say, the ACWR here, you'll see that the ACWR would basically retain a 4-shot kill further away than an assault rifle would, but once that damage drop off kicks in, all of a sudden it becomes less effective than the assault rifle at further ranges. So you now have a reason to choose the carbine over the assault rifle. Now let's quickly address the battle rifle. You'll see here I'm using the Scar H. I actually like this weapon a lot, but it needs a little bit more punch at range. The damage model on this drops off to 24 damage. I don't see why they did that. They should have made it drop off to 25. Simply put, the gun shoots too slow and kicks too hard to require me to shoot somebody 5 times at range to get a kill. It should be a 4-shot kill at the extreme ranges on this weapon and nothing more, especially considering that it shoots a much higher caliber round than any of the assault rifles, even the AKM, and the AKM is a 4-shot kill at range, so why shouldn't this be? And then within the battle rifle family, the guns are terribly balanced. If you look at something like the HCAR, which is something I was excited to be using in this game, it's horribly balanced when compared to the SA58 OSW, which is one of the more powerful battle rifles. The HCAR has slower rate of fire, slower muzzle velocity, the exact same damage model, longer reload time, and frankly the recoil is even higher on the HCAR as well. So what the heck is the point of using that weapon over the SA58? Now frankly I could make suggestions on how to balance these weapons better, but frankly Visceral just needs to go through all of their weapons trees and really scratch their head and think about what makes this gun special, or why would somebody want to use this gun over any other gun. If there is no reason for it, then you clearly need to start tweaking the numbers. Now let's talk about PDWs. There is one PDW that stands above all others, and you should not be surprised when I say its name, the K10. We've all seen it, we've all been killed by it. Hopefully you've been killing people with it and you know just how insanely powerful this weapon is. Part of the balance problem with this weapon is that it's actually taking in the real world statistics of the gun and applying them fairly accurately. The gun has a 1200 round per minute rate of fire, replicated in game very nicely, shoots 45 ACP, again replicated in game by the damage model of this weapon compared to other 45 ACP guns. So how the heck do you balance that? It's pretty difficult because there's nothing else in the PDW category that shoots at the same rate of fire. The recoil in general is fairly high on this weapon, but it doesn't really matter too much because you're really only going to be using it in extreme close quarters, so the recoil jump isn't going to affect most players too much. It's just the massive damage output. It's going to down people so flippin' fast. There's nothing you can really do about it. Combining that crazy rate of fire, you also have one of the fastest reloads I've ever seen on a a PDW, 1.5 seconds. Just way too fast, Visceral. This is overkill when it comes to how you balanced out this weapon. Now there's a few things I can think of to try and balance out this weapon to make it a little bit more balanced when compared to other PDWs out there. The first of which is the fact that the Chris Vector uses Glock 21 magazines, and it's actually using an extended Glock 21 magazine. The traditional Glock 21 mag only holds 13 rounds, so if you nerf this down to 13 rounds per mag, it would be a pretty underwhelming gun. That might be a little bit too overkill and pretty much upset people. So you could also convert it to the 9mm variant of the Chris Vector, lowering its damage model. So instead of doing 34 damage max, you could drop it down to say 25 damage max, which would greatly reduce its effectiveness. It'd still be a good gun, just not quite as overkill. However, everybody likes the 45 cal ACP Chris Vector, so putting the 9mm variant in the game would probably be a little underwhelming to most people. So you'd have to start balancing out in other ways. I think you could probably increase the recoil even more, even though that's not exactly accurate to how the gun performs in real life. You could maybe make the gun pull really hard to one direction, pull really hard to the right, as I've seen it kind of portray that characteristics in different YouTube videos of people firing the gun in real life. You could also increase the reload speed. I know it's supposed to represent a pistol reload speed since it's using Glock 21 magazines, but you gotta increase that reload speed, otherwise there's just no balancing this gun whatsoever. Beyond that, you could also reduce the aiming down sight accuracy. It's currently 0.4, up it to 0.6. That would certainly reduce its effectiveness at further ranges. Now as for the rest of the PDWs in this game, I gotta say they're pretty crappy overall. I think the whole category of weapons can use another look over and hopefully a balancing and tweaking to make them a little bit more usable, or at least to compete with the K10, because that really is your benchmark right now. Everything compared to the K10, if it can't match up to the K10, then why use it? You'll notice I switched over to some DMR gameplay here. Now DMRs have universally seen an upgrade since Battlefield 4. This is awesome. They needed an upgrade and I'm happy that it came. The only problem is that all other weapons in the game also saw a very big upgrade since BF4, so rather than DMRs becoming now equal or on par with other weapons, they are still kind of the underdogs when compared to damage output. They still are a 3-shot kill regardless of the range that you engage people at, and I've been pushing for that 50 damage max on DMRs forever and it's never come. I would love to see that BF3 DMR damage model return in this game just to make them a little bit more competitive. Beyond that, even at range, I'm still losing gunfights to M16s and M416s. There just doesn't seem to be a place for the DMR in this game right now. It is a precision weapon, but when a precision weapon is losing out to your average assault rifle, then what's the point? Now let's talk about bolt action sniper rifles a little bit. I've seen a lot of mixed responses from the community. Some people love the new bolt action, some people say they're awful. Personally, I think the Scat Elite is miles beyond where any bolt action was in Battlefield 4. However, a lot of the maps in Hardline are much more close quarter based, so it's harder to use bolt action rifles, and I think that's generally what the community is experiencing. They think the guns have gotten worse. I just think the maps have changed up their pacing a bit, so they're more difficult to use. The real issue I want to discuss here though doesn't have to do with the Scout Elite, it has to do with the 300 knockout, the syndicate assignment sniper rifle that you can unlock for the professional class. This is something that you might have not even seen in game yet because it's so rare and so hard to unlock. It's a pain in the ass assignment to get this gun, but once it starts popping up more and more, you're going to see just how unbelievably imbalanced this rifle is. The 300 knockout can one-shot kill you at 50 meters without a headshot. It does 100 damage maximum all the way out to 50 meters. This is beyond anything I've seen any sniper rifle do in any Battlefield game to date, and it is just imbalanced beyond all reason. Perhaps if the rate of fire was reduced to 30 rounds per minute, I could see this being a little bit more reasonable of a weapon, but in its current state of 60 rounds per minute rate of fire, it is just blowing everything else out of the water. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever and has to be balanced. Otherwise, there's going to be some major rage fest going on as soon as people start unlocking this gun on a massive level. Now that's kind of summing up what I wanted to say in this video, but it's really only scratching the surface of the overall weapon balance issues in Battlefield Hardline. I kind of like the dynamics between the different classes and how they have all different kinds of weapons, but within each class the weapons don't make any sense. There's usually one clear victor weapon and the rest of them are all just straggling behind or horribly outclassed compared to the top dog. So hopefully we can see Visceral address these weapon balance issues in the next patch. And as always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.